noble citizens, we must bypass a life of dormancy and vice to pursue the generative endeavor of a hard day's work. The benefits of these pursuits are not secured by chance or charity, but through the merit of your character and the firmness of your convictions. It is you who are planting the seeds of trees whose shade you know you shall never see.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Broken Wind podcast. This is your host, Vane, and we hope you will enjoy the following mini news update featuring our very special guest, Orion. We had the privilege of speaking with Orion about his recent experiences in the Middle East, and this is just one small segment of a series of interviews with Orion. The full interviews will only be available to the most intrepid premium subscribers who would dare to solicit the highly secretive and mysteriously esoteric knowledge contained within our forbidden courses. We hope you'll consider subscribing either to the $3 Patreon tier for the quickest possible news updates, or to the $5 tier for all of our new and old content, including the news updates and the forbidden courses. If you aren't able to subscribe at this time and you still want to help, please consider giving us a positive review or like or follow us on your favorite streaming services. Anything you can do to help support this independent show would be greatly appreciated. Now, without further delay, please enjoy the following news update from January 28th, 2025.
You got to understand, Orion, we like to do a little news roundup every once in a while, and there has been there's such a flurry of shit going on that we were hoping to try to do that at the same time, but it's been so interesting to hear you talk about what all is going on over there. But yeah, I mean, the TikTok ban, I mean, just all that needs to be said on that is Democrats scoring in their own goal once again, you know, just making a nice clean pass. Not that soccer metaphors are always the best, but making a nice clean pass over to the opposite team and just saying, drive that fucking sucker in there. Like, god damn it. Just the most fucking useless pieces of shit in the history of politics.
And then at the last second, recognizing that it was going to be incredibly unpopular and having no ability to do anything.
Yep.
And then Trump comes in and appears to save it. So.
After simultaneously creating the idea of banning TikTok, it's just...
Dude, all I know from my end is that, like, people were freaking out about TikTok, and then all of a sudden everyone was going over to Red Note, and, like, I have, like, different pages I follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they were just all just like, dude, I don't think they understand. Now we're talking to China. Like, now we're asking them questions about what they think about us. And, like, I was like, dude, uh-oh. I was like, I don't know. They just opened up a can of worms, and I don't know if we're going to be able to...
That was a beautiful moment. You could see that shit got figured out real quick once it seemed like, oh, shit, people might actually just use a Chinese app. That's, no. But, yeah, that was pretty tight for a minute, where all of like, American the social media sphere had, like, a brief merging with the Chinese social media sphere. But path of least resistance wins out, and old Trumpy won back TikTok, I guess. So
yep, and they decided that they're going to share basically the money that they make 50-50 essentially, and that's the deal that they came to.
Oh yeah, that's the deal. That's so that both sides can make sure that we aren't talking, like the American people and the Chinese people aren't talking.
Yeah, they both agreed to mutually not let their populations talk and share.
Moves like a mafia 50-50. Boss. He really does move like a mafia boss. It's fucking insane. Like it's like unmistakable, and that ties really nicely into this last thing I want to talk about, which has been like a really fast developing story. It broke last night, to my knowledge. At like 11 p.m. or some shit, this note comes out from the Office of Management and Budgets to every single recipient of, like, federal funds in this country, which is a shitload of things, not just like Medicare and Medicaid, like an insane...
It's like all nonprofits.
Every single nonprofit, probably every single university you can think of. But like the amount of federal funds disbursements are a lot. And this memo goes out that says, hey, we're putting a freeze on all this shit to make sure it's in line with the president's priorities. And it's like, you can understand, it's understandable when you think like, you know, a business guy and you think like fucking thug mafioso, but it is like such a blatant constitutional crisis. Not that we really overly venerate the Constitution here on this program, but like the power of the purse, and like essentially like at 5 p.m. today, like only a couple hours ago, effectively like 70 million people lost their like Medicare and Medicaid, and the new press secretary, who is a firecracker blonde woman who seems like she's probably made quite a few Whole Foods managers like want to kill themselves. And wears like a giant gold cross. Like, this woman is up there like, it's not gonna affect Medicare and Medicaid, but oh my god, like they're saying that like we had to do this so that we could stop money going to the Green New Deal, a legislative agenda that never passed. Like, it's
never existed.
That did not exist. Like, these people are so fucking high on their own supply. So dude, that is just one of the shitstorm things that has been going on. Okay, that's like the last 24 hours. Before this,
and then the assault on DEI, which is crazy too, is part of this whole.
Dude, we got to talk about Colombia, because the tariffs have been the fucking tariffs.
Colombia,
yeah,
dude, I respect the out of their
I know.
Their president Petro is awesome.
Gustavo Petro's statement is so sick. We should read that. Vane, can you no, it's in Spanish. Damn it. But anyway, like
I
that.
Speak Spanish.
So that was a big baller move to just say, yeah, U.S. is boring to visit. You guys suck. And I mean, I like the black communities, but like otherwise, like just washed. And now we're gonna charge our own fucking tariff. And it's like, do you understand? These people fucking, oh my god, like there's so many layers to uncover. Okay, before we jump over to Gustavo Petro, the thing I was watching before we hopped on was the Democrat response to that OMB thing. Y'all want to know what Chuck Schumer had to say about the incredible constitutional crisis just created by Donald Trump? You want to know what the fire line that was cooked up in the halls of Democratic power? You know what their line was? Hey, guess what? Donald Trump just defunded the police. That's their fucking too smart by half messaging solution to make people. Doesn't that just make you fucking groan? Like that's right. Like that's the ostensible resistance, right?
Right. I do have Gustavo Petro's full statement in English. If you
you want to read it? It's so good.
Yeah. Trump, I don't really like traveling to the U.S. It's a bit boring, but I confess that there are some commendable things. I like going to the black neighborhoods of Washington, where I saw a fight in the U.S. Capitol between blacks and Latinos with barricades, which seemed like nonsense to me, because they should join together. I confess that I like Walt Whitman and Paul Simon and Noam Chomsky and Miller. I confess that Sacco and Vanzetti, who have my blood, are memorable in the history of the USA, and I follow them.
Fire.
They were murdered by labor leaders in the electric chair, by fascists who were within the USA as well as within my country.
He's spitting.
I don't like your oil, Trump. It's going to wipe out the human species because of greed. Maybe one day with a glass of whiskey that I accept, despite my gratitis, we can talk frankly about
Weird,
this.
but okay.
But it's difficult. You consider me an inferior race, and I'm not, nor is any Colombian. So, someone who is stubborn, that's me, period. You can try to carry out a coup with your economic strength and your arrogance, like they did with Allende. But
Fire.
I will die true to my principles. I resisted torture and I resist you. I don't want slavers next in Colombia. We already had many and we freed ourselves. What I want next in Colombia are lovers of freedom. If you can't join me, I'll go elsewhere. Colombia is the heart of the world, and you didn't understand that. This is the land of the yellow butterflies, of the land of remedios, but also of the colonels like Aureliano Buendia, of which I am one, perhaps the last. You will kill me, but I will survive in my people, which lives before yours in the Americas. We are peoples of the winds, the mountains, the Caribbean Sea, and of freedom. You don't like our freedom. Okay. I don't shake hands with white slavers. I shake hands with the white libertarian heirs of Lincoln and the black and white farm boys of the USA, at whose graves I cried and
Fire.
prayed on the battlefield,
So fire.
which I reached after walking the mountains of Italian Tuscany and after being saved from COVID. They are the United States, and before them I kneel, before no one else. Overthrow me, Mr. President, and the Americas and humanity will respond. Colombia now stops looking north. It looks at the world. Our blood comes from the blood of the Caliphate of Cordoba, the civilization of that time, who founded the Republic, democracy in Athens. Our blood comes from the black resistance fighters turned into slaves by you. Colombia is the first free territory of America, before Washington, before all America, and I take refuge in its African songs. My land is made up of goldsmiths who worked in the time of Egyptian pharaohs and of the first artists in the world of Chiribequet. You will never rule us. You're opposed to the warrior who rode our lands shouting freedom, whose name is Simon Bolivar. Our people are somewhat fearful, somewhat timid. They are naive and kind, loving, but they will know how to win the Panama Canal, which you took from us with violence. 200 heroes from all of Latin America lie in Bocas de Toro, today's Panama, formerly Colombia, which you murdered. I raise a flag, and as Celia Gaitan said, even if it remains alone, it will continue to be raised with the Latin American dignity that is the dignity of America, which your great-grandfather did not know, and mine did, Mr. President, an immigrant in the USA. Your blockade does not scare me because Colombia, besides being the country of beauty, is the heart of the world. I know that you love beauty, as do I. Do not disrespect it, and it will give its sweetness to you. From today on, Colombia is open to the entire world. With open arms, we are builders of freedom, life, and humanity. I am informed that you impose a 50% tariff on the fruits of our human labor to enter the United States, and I do the same. Let our people plant corn that was discovered in Colombia and feed the world.
Mic drop. Such a truly an innovator in the art of the first good long Twitter post to have ever been posted. My God, that shit
is the best thing, dude. That is awesome. Like,
right.
And then he won in the negotiation too. And don't let Donald Trump pretend that he won also.
Right.
Because
the
story that actually happened was that Donald Trump tried to send migrants using expensive military planes to ship them to Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
And he responded by saying, we'll take them because we're not able to decline them, but we won't accept you treating them as less than human, essentially, because he had shipped them in handcuffs.
And AC
made a show of it using
the
most expensive way, just like Ron DeSantis did when he sent migrants to Martha's Vineyard as a political show. So basically he said, don't do it as a political stunt, and I'll gladly send up our planes to retrieve them.
Right.
And he ended up doing that. They ended up not having the handcuffs, and he ended up sending the plane that he offered. And Donald Trump is trying to spin it as some sort of art of the deal, winning the negotiation that he did. As usual, he'll portray it as his toughness.
I mean, the tariffs are the real story to me too, in all this, because it's like the fucking fallout of this shit is going to be insane. I mean, the idea that like you can impose a 50% tariff on the country where all of this country's coffee beans come from, it's fucking insane. And then, dude, not long before we got on, I saw they're announcing. I mean, I guess because they believe in the one China policy or something like that. They're like teasing putting tariffs on Taiwan for TSMC, and it's like, are you huffing gas? Like, what the fuck do you people think is your whole shit? Like, isn't the whole point that you're trying to create this like tech isolationist shit? That, I don't know. I'm not a expert, but like I know enough to know that tariffs do not do what the Trump administration thinks they do. And between that and then the ICE raids have been monstrous. They're going to New York, they're going to Boston, nowhere's safe.
Yeah, only blue states, of course.
Yeah, And like a lot of these immigrant
Chicago.
communities, people are literally just afraid to go outside because there's been already a lot of stories of what they're calling like just basically like you're in the wrong place, the wrong time, and your status is also, you know, not fully legal, therefore you get fucking bagged up too. And that has a lot of people shook because the reality is that, like, as soon as the Biden campaign turned right on immigration, that was my fucking red line. That was maybe, and like Palestine was already a red line, but then when they did that, I was like, you fucking people are irredeemable. I will not even countenance supporting you for even one fucking second, because the reality of immigration in this country and in a lot of places is that it's difficult and it's complicated and it's really easy to make one small bureaucratic error and be out of status and be illegal. And in a country where your family has been there for generations, you know, maybe as like migratory agricultural workers or something like that, then like it is so fucking insulting to be packing these people up and acting like they don't have every right to be here. Like, I've said it a million times and it can't be said enough. You'll probably speak to this also, Orion, having lived in Mexico, that like one of the dynamics that is so crucial to not lose sight of in this whole like insane jingoistic push towards like, you know, designating the cartels as terrorist groups and shit is that like the antagonism between the United States and Mexico is a direct ancestor of the indigenous genocide of this country. And for whatever you can say about the Mexican state, it's got its flaws and it is like a post-colonial state. It is also one of the few countries, and this can be said of some other Central and South and Latin American countries, that they are much more in touch with their indigenous roots. And indeed, in Mexico, there is a literal founding connection to the indigenous population, and it's synthesized in a way with the, you know, Spanish colonizers as well, but it's much more holistic than anything we have in this country. And I no joke, I have tried to explain this to like out of touch white women in America, and they've laughed in my face that the idea that like, oh, Mexico also actually represents a bulwark of like indigenous humanity that did not get fully sublimated by the settler colonial project of Europeans in the New World.
Yeah, even in like the most reductive way, just saying like Aztecs, Mayans, Incas, basically.
Right.
Even though Incas were more like South America, like Peru.
Right.
In general, the Aztecs and Mayans and many of the surrounding Native American tribes have a lasting impact that we know today and recognize as civilization, building big monuments.
Right. And so to, you know, put a nice bow on it, it's all one struggle. It's one fucking fight.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same fight everywhere, whether it's Palestine, whether it's the Mexican border, it's the same fucking fight against the same fucking fascists. And just because they want to tell you that anti-fascists are the real fucking terrorists, they're full of shit. And just let us be a voice in the darkness there for you to remember that, like, it's not just you that, like, if you feel like you're going fucking crazy watching all of this go down, you're not alone. It is fucking maddening to observe. And, you know, the best thing we can do is look out for each other. And I mean, also make sure to look out for yourselves and your immediate family. Like, these are interesting times, but look out for your immediate communities, get to know your neighbors, you know the people in your immediate vicinity, because that can make a big difference. So you boys got any closing thoughts? Start with, you got anything, Orion? You got a nice cup of tea there. What kind of tea is that?
I don't know. It's amazing though. It's probably staged in time.
Dude, the tea culture of the rest of the world is so much better than anything we ever got going in the Anglosphere. It's crazy. Like,
oh, dude, it's the best.
Yeah,
it's the best. I guess to kind of wrap it up, it's like, what did I fucking say the last time that we talked? I was like, does anybody realize that we're like walking towards the same shit that's happening other places? And then as soon as there's the change of the guard, it's becoming more apparent, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about
so
that
like,
last
okay,
time.
guys, like, do we see what's going on here? You know, like, can we figure this shit out? Like, again, at the end of the day, it's like you're either on the side of peace or you're on the side of war. That's about it. It's about as simple as you can make it. It's like you either want to live your life free and you either want to live your life with dignity and you want to live your life in peace, or you want to keep doing the same shit that we've been doing over and over again for as long as we.
Yeah.
That's about it, dude.
Yeah, and I guess my closing thoughts then related to that are that I think the knowledge after the world wars was immediately known to people that the cause of the world wars was the rich versus the poor.
Was the fascist
And
project, yeah.
I think we've kind of lost sight of that, and in general, people don't want to see that. But I think the Donald Trump administration is really making it abundantly clear all across the world that it really is rich versus poor. The rich are driving essentially poor people to kill one another based on race, religion, ethnicity, or whatever.
Right.
And ultimately, there was an understanding right after we got out of that chaos of the two world wars, this recognition that we didn't want to do that anymore. We didn't want to be divided up by rich people and needed to take action.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think to branch from that too, and this is something that I speak to a lot, and that I think is the simplest solution, and basically my life goal is to ensure that food, water, energy, and shelter are an inherent human birthright.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that we can't do that. There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way. When we produce more energy than we ever have at any time in human history.
When we have all this technology, when we're able to talk to people from around the world, when I can go to the store in the United States and get a can of coconut milk with coconuts from Thailand. The amount of human connection, collaboration, and communication that needed to happen in order to get that can on that shelf is incredible. Why the is there 10 different types of coconut milk and there's a homeless guy outside?
Right. Well, yeah, and then just to sort of dovetail on that too, we're great at closing shit up, but it's like I said earlier about the Trump admin, that's like people look around at this like it's something different, and I can't blame them for not having the intimate familiarity with our labyrinthian political system that we do, but like this guy is just another Republican. He's exactly what they've always wanted. He's just got more swag than any other Republican they've ever been able to roll out, and so he can do the shit that Paul Ryan wanted to do when I was 15, you know, which is just blanket defund the entire federal government, and it's gonna kill people. It's gonna kill people. It's gonna be tough, like, you know. So these cretin. And something I'll say too is being on the side of peace does not mean not fighting back. That's for sure. It's just how you do it. And one weapon they can never take away from you is your stories, and your stories about your family and your stories about your friends. And, you know, that's an important one to keep dear and keep telling and make sure that like those things are getting out there. So that's what we're doing here. That's why we do this. And I love you both. I love both you boys so much. You stay safe out there. Stay warm. We should probably let Orion get some sleep. But thanks for chatting with us, good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go soon to get my day started because I have to go cross a checkpoint, and I want to cross it as soon as possible. I lost my glasses. I left them on the bus crossing the checkpoint.
Oh man!
Apparently, they found them. So I'm going to cross this morning in a couple of hours. I'm going to cross the checkpoint. I'm going to get my glasses, and then I'm going to go a little further north, and I'm going to cross another checkpoint.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? Stay safe. Stay warm. And to the listeners, subscribe to the Patreon. Get our back catalog full of all of our secret plans and everything you're looking for if you're trying to incriminate us as terrorists. It's all there. So, and then but just make sure you sign up for the extra double expensive tier, the one that's like $10,000 a month. That's where all the really incriminating stuff is. So make sure that's where you sign up. Yeah.
You really want to know what we're plotting.
Yeah, if you really want to know what we're up to, you want to know what the real is, you got to pay at least $10,000 a month on the Patreon. So
forbidden courses.
Yeah, that's where all the forbidden courses are. But until next time, we'll talk to you. We'll be back, and all the best. Much love. One struggle.
We don't highlight the means, so we settle for them greens. Yeah, I'm highlight the trees when I send it to my knees. I don't sway with the breeze. They can send me to my knees. Yeah.